My husband and I, 30s, haven't been on a trip out of the country for years, while he goes every year with his best friend. His reason for going with him is that they both attend sporting events. This year, my husband told me I could go with him and his friends since they were visiting a new destination. He paid for my ticket and everything else since I'm a stay-at-home mom and have no job. The kids were left with my mom. However, I found out he'd booked a first class for himself and his friend while I got economy. I just couldn't hold my tongue. I confronted him about it and he at first refused to discuss it. That's when the argument got heated. He yelled, "I paid for your damn ticket, isn't that enough?" Then kept on about how I should stop acting like I was royalty, and that if I come to think about it, even economy is fine for me since I technically don't work anyway. I cried because of what he said but decided not to go altogether. He changed his tone and started begging me just to go with his plan, but I declined. I went to pick up the kids from my mom's house and he came back 3 hours later, puffing and puffing about what happened. His friend sent me a text calling me entitled and said this was why he didn't want my husband to take me with them, and I just proved his point. I didn't respond, but I blocked him since he's gotten increasingly rude over the past few months. He, my husband, said I keep crying about being excluded and this is what happens when he finally decides to include me. So, am I the idiot for not settling for the economy seat? By the way, he's perfectly capable of financing the trip. Not the idiot. He said that you technically don't work anyway. Your labor, raising children, running the household, is work even if it's unpaid. It's work that enables him to work outside the home and not also to have to do all the childcare and other domestic labor, or pay someone to do it. And if this is the division of labor you and your husband have, you stay home, he works for pay, the money he earns at his job isn't his money, it's your money as a couple. You should leave him. He doesn't think of you as a partner or even a full person. I'm sorry, I know that sucks to hear, but better to get out now than continue to put up with this man and his foolishness. Wow, he and his friends are idiots. Does your husband always treat you as less than? Does he often talk down to you, exclude you, treat you poorly? Because if I go off this post alone, you need to get out and take your kids with you. Find someone who genuinely loves and respects you. He doesn't care about you as much as he does about his friend, which is backward as heck. Is he having an affair with his friend, or does he just disrespect and not value as much as he does his friend? Is this just his general view of women? You should, as his wife and the mother of his children, always take priority over his friend. Why don't you? The fact that his friend texted you to insult you? Screw his friend. He should mind his damn business, and bringing up why he doesn't take you is sus, because then that means that there's been a reason why they haven't included you on these sports trips, which sounds like total bull because what sport has been happening yearly at the same destination that's so important for men in their 30s to attend out of state. And he can buy this friend expensive crap, but not you, who's literally full-time taking care of kids for free. Your husband working is the bare minimum. Also, I'm just wondering if something else is going on with those two. A true friend would have said, "Oh my gosh, this is awful, I'm switching seats with you, you sit with your spouse," and not arguing with you. But seriously, OP, why stay with a man who clearly has zero respect for you? Then, when you get divorced, he'll be surprised to learn the money belongs to both of you, regardless of who earns it. I, 27 female, am pregnant with my first bio child by my husband Kyle, 29 male, and we're both super excited. I have a stepdaughter Kalani, a young female child who's my little best friend, and she truly sees me as a second mother figure, but still calls me by my name, not Mom. We have 50-50 custody with final legal decision-making rights because of harassment and crazy behavior from Kalani's mom Elisa, 29. I always call Kalani the prettiest girl in the world. That's been our things for years. But not in a conceited way. She's very nice to others and plays great with other kids. I just always want to boost her confidence. When I found out I was pregnant with a girl, I told Kalani her sister would be the prettiest girl in the world too, just like her, and she loved it. So she started saying it too. She came back from her mom's house the other day and said she's the prettiest girl in the world and everyone is ugly. Her sister will be ugly too. I asked her why she would say that and she said, because it's true. I said she's not the prettiest girl in the world to everyone and that every little girl is the prettiest girl in the world to their adults. I told her she and her sister would be the prettiest girls in the world to me and her dad and mom, but only when she's a kind person. Right now she's being mean and that's an ugly trait. She cried a little but seemed to take it well when her dad and I sat down with her later. The day she returned to her mom's house, I was met with many calls and messages on the parenting app. calling me an evil stepmother for calling Kalani ugly. I explained to her the context, but she said I was being cruel and Kalani was just a kid. She's now telling my husband we need to go back to court. He's on my side and thinks we handled it well, but she's freaking out, and I did feel bad when Kalani started crying. Should I have handled that better? Am I the idiot? Edit. I started calling her the prettiest girl because she has confidence issues because of her skin color and her hair isn't super long like some of her classmates. You are the idiot. Why are you saying pretty when it seems like you really just mean, I love you? She's already begun associating prettiness with love, but now you've told her it was all a metaphor for being nice, but the other adults in her life disagree. How confusing for the poor kid. This could have all been avoided by actually complimenting her on specific qualities or behaviors, rather than using pretty as a vague substitute for niceness or love. Kind, strong, smart, persistent, patient, brave, clever, etc. are traits she actually has control over and are not easily confused with superficial things like pretty that emphasize the perceptions of others. You are the idiot, and while you had good intentions, you went about it the wrong way. Not the idiot. One of the hardest things as a grown-up is checking children when they're inconsiderate, rude, or mean to others. Maybe it could have been done more delicately. It's hard to tell when we didn't overhear the actual conversation. Maybe it's important to talk about how beauty is a part of how you act, and not just physical features, as you did. Her bio-mom has taken this as an opportunity to take your husband to court. I have a feeling that she would have found another excuse. Her bio-mom seemingly got upset that the new baby would be called pretty too, and caused this. I think you handled it like a champ, and so did your husband who backed you up. You never said to her face that she was ugly. You said she was being mean and that it was an ugly trait, which it is. I recently got married and moved to Italy to live with my husband and his family. My husband had some work he needed to do on my first official day of living in Italy, so he asked his younger brother and his other brother's wife to show me around. His brother's wife is lovely, but his younger brother is such an arrogant, condescending idiot. Our families have known and worked with each other for years, but I don't know him very well, and I was aware that there was some weird competition between our families. We had lunch with his cousins, and the entire time they were criticizing my brother. When I tried to defend him, my younger brother-in-law told me I was a little girl, so I didn't understand these things. I'm older than him, and he's barely an adult, so I was really angry he said that to me. I told him I was going home because he was an idiot, and he told me I couldn't as my husband told him I needed to stay with him until he came home, and so that's what I was going to do. His brother's wife tried to salvage the situation by telling me to ignore him and suggesting we go shopping. Even the way he agreed to us shopping was annoying, so I was very annoyed by the time I decided to use the crowd to ditch them and leave. I ended up going to meet my husband and his other brother. My husband was upset I was alone and wanted to know what happened. My husband blew up at his younger brother, who was upset that I left the way I did and made them waste time searching for me when he saw him. He insisted I had issues, and it wasn't his fault that I didn't understand that my loyalty should be to my husband now. I told him he was angry that a little girl had bested him, making him even angrier. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot, but you are hilarious. I can understand your husband being disturbed that you're alone in a country new to you, and because his brother ran you off. Inform your husband that you no longer want to be set up to be shown anything by the disrespectful brother that's barely an adult trying to talk down to you. I do think you need to apologize to sister-in-law, though. You probably made her worry. It sounds like they live in a very old-fashioned belief that women are mere accessories and should listen to men. You did the right thing. Don't dare allow this little boy to start telling you how to feel and how you should be acting. He might live in the old ways, but you don't. Of course, I'm also assuming you're not Italian, so you're not obligated to change your ways to fit in. I can't stop laughing at this chauvinist idiot. Someone's big boy hair must have just come and they don't know how to handle all that raw masculinity yet. Ha ha ha. Good for you for pushing back on his misogynistic BS. Also glad your husband had your back also. My 34 female parents had me when they were teenagers, and they only had my other brothers when I had left home. Young male teen, tween male, and pre-tween male. I believe I was a fraternal figure present for my younger brothers as much as possible, but I was already in college, living alone when the oldest was born. Taking care of them on my vacation made me realize that I would never have children. When I turned 27, I received a job offer in another country and I stayed there until the beginning of this year, having to return to the country because my mother died, my father died at the beginning of the global issue. I came back, but I could only stay 3 weeks in my country. I had to take a break and ask for leave. I asked for a lot of vacation time in advance because I had to deal with my mother's inventory, and I was the only representative of my brothers. Everything is on track. My mother facilitated many things before she passed away, and I live in an apartment while my brothers live with this aunt of mine. I spoke to the social worker who considered me returning to my country for the good of them because my brothers don't know the language, non-Latin, of their country, and that would be a big change in their lives. I said that I didn't intend to adopt my brothers because despite having conditions, I work a lot of time away, staying away from home for 2 weeks at least, and moving back, losing a very good job was not an option for me. Besides the biggest fact, I don't want to have kids or be responsible for not 1 but 3 siblings, and that if someone in my family wants to be responsible, I help with whatever it takes, and I commit myself, on my vacations, to taking care of them during this period, but I don't intend and don't want to be responsible. The social worker understood my side. I talked to my brothers about it, about me not being able to move. They didn't want to move to another country. The oldest one even has a girlfriend, but I would never stop visiting when possible, and they were welcome to spend my vacation with me. They were a little upset, but we managed together, therapy also. The problem is my aunt, who, when she found out, started screaming at me, saying that I'm abandoning my brothers and leaving my responsibility to another relative, how cruel I am to turn my back, etc. Keep in mind that the person responsible for my siblings will be able to live in a 5-bedroom, 4-bathroom house, and there will be no financial cost to raise my siblings, as I'm willing to pay. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Asking for you to take in 1 child is a lot, never mind 3 at once. That's a huge decision, and I think most people aren't in a situation where they could easily do that. You can't be expected to drop everything in life for kids that aren't even your own. Plus, I think you did a good thing by still offering to send money for them and visit often. It shows you still care about your siblings and still want to be there for them, and I think that's commendable. Many people wouldn't be able or willing even to do that. For kids that aren't even your own. I don't know why, but this stood out to me. They're siblings. It's not like they're complete strangers. The rest of it still stands though, obviously. Suddenly taking care of 3 children is a lot to ask. You're not a stranger, you're still their big sister. After their parents, you're the one they have to rely on until they go to the majority. You're dumping these kids who knows where because you don't want to take responsibility. Whose problem should it be? You are the idiot. Life doesn't always give us what we planned or wanted, but sometimes we must step up. This is one of those times. Disagree. If you took them in only because of the guilt trip, you'd resent them for the rest of your life. This seems the best way to preserve your relationship with them, and I admire you for stepping up financially and committing your vacation time to them. If your aunt feels so strongly, she's welcome to assume responsibility. I work in finance. I'm sure many people will hate me already, but that's my career. My job is in acquisitions. My team and I were in the process of acquiring a huge investment from a rather important organization. This was especially needed because the global issue slump hit us pretty hard, and my organization had to eliminate people in the process. We got this investment after almost 2 years of what I like to call begging, but it worked, and once everything was checked, I got a nice bonus as a reward. Now I'm doing pretty well, so the bonus wasn't a lifesaver, because my student loans have been paid off, and my house will be paid off pretty soon, but a bonus is a bonus, and it felt good to be appreciated for my effort. The story. When I told my girlfriend, who is also on my team, about our bonuses, she was pretty happy but said to me that because she doesn't have any loans or anything, she was going to donate all of it to a charity. My response was to tell her she was very generous for it and that I was proud of her. She then asked me what I was going to do with mine. I said I was going to buy a new car. She wasn't pleased about this, and since we got our bonuses, she's been pestering me to donate all or a large part of it to charity. I have no problem with donations, but I wanted to splurge after slogging for years, paying off my home and student loans. So I was adamant about my decision. And well, yesterday I signed off on my new car. My girlfriend has been very angry ever since, and has also gotten her friends and some of mine to get me to sell the car back and donate the money. Am I the idiot? I may be the idiot because I understand that money is important, especially today when poor people don't stand a chance in life. so maybe I should have donated most of it and splurged the rest instead. Not the idiot. No one should ever feel forced or pressured into donating to a charity. It should be up to you what you do with your money. She can do whatever she wants with her money. She can't control what you do with yours. I'm seeing a red flag with her getting her friends to pressure you. Bro, it's money you worked hard for. If you have some money left, then donate it. I don't understand why she's getting mad at you for splurging on yourself when you spent the whole pandemic high-heat paying off loans and focusing on staying at your job. If anything, don't let her or your friends in the car. Honestly, the fact that she's angry with you about this and harnessing not only her friends but yours to harass you about this makes me concerned she's not simply short-sighted and immature, but potentially diagnosable narcissistic. The fact that you're expressing self-doubt and guilt in your edit reinforces the concern you're being emotionally abused. Not the idiot only because nobody has the right to tell you what to do with your money. But I prefer to live in a society where wealthy idiots like you get taxed high enough that it pays for social programs that can prevent poverty, so we don't need charity.